All right, so let's jump right into it, folks. All right, here is information taken directly from the estate office in Durham, North Carolina. What's going on, everyone? This is Courtney Rollins, as the intro said, the host of the Life and Transitions Expert podcast. And here we're going to talk about what you do when you have a copy of a will for a large estate. And for large estate, I mean any estate that is valued in $20,000 or $25,000 or above at the time of this recording for North Carolina. So if there are assets that are worth more than $20,000, then for the most part, a person will have to go through probate in North Carolina. And if they have a will, then you'll have to actually probate the will. Let's get into it to talk a little more about this. Now, I will say I'm not an attorney or a financial advisor, just sharing my opinions from my experience working in the probate space. I do call myself a certified probate expert because expertise, in my opinion, is a process, and it's something I'm dedicated to understanding and learning and growing more and more. I know there's so much I don't know. And so the more I seek, the more I understand, the better I become at helping others process the probate space and world, and hopefully avoid probate by setting some really important things in place. But what is probate? That's the legal process of settling the affairs in the estate of a deceased party. If someone passes away and they have debt or they have assets in their name, there has to be a legal process for distributing the inheritance, if there's any, or paying even of the bills that are owed, if any. And there has to be someone who's legally recognized to be able to do that. And that's usually the person who's appointed as the executor or administrator if no one's appointed there during the probate process. So a will has to actually be probated. I mean, that's one thing that a lot of people aren't aware of. They think that once they have a will, maybe they avoid all those different steps, but a will does have to go through probate to be legally executed. Now, here's some of the steps. This is taken directly from the clerks at the estate office in Durham County, North Carolina. So they're going to sit down with you and they're going to check the death certificate, review the will, examine the application, provide you certificates of the probate, order for the letters so that you can have copies so that you can use them. We'll talk about it in a moment. They'll file the probate case in the office and issue the letters actually, then process any copies for the attorney or for the client, and mail off the beneficiaries notice that probate is taking place and that they have a vested interest in how it turns out. Here's some of the applications or documents that they'll be given to you or used for while you're there. The application for probate, they'll have a copy of the oath so that you can read it and know what you actually made an oath for. The order for the letters, the letter of testamentary, the certificate of probate, the original will be a part of it that you'll provide, and the death certificate is something you'll provide that will be copied there. Now, so the death certificate, when they check the death certificate, they're going to check to make sure the name is accurate, make sure that they actually are residents of North Carolina, particularly of Durham County. If that's whichever county you're involved in, that's that particular county. They're going to check the marital status too to see if there's a surviving spouse, because that dictates what the next direction could be. Now, when they check the will, they're going to make sure that it's a will that's verified by North Carolina, meaning it's self-approving. If it's not self-approving, which means there's two witnesses and it's notarized, is a self-approving document. But if it's not self-approving, then they may need some additional affidavits to make sure it's verified. And if it's not a North Carolina will, they'll may need some additional affidavits to make sure it's verified. They'll check the dates and make sure that the will signature and application match. They'll check to see if there's any executor or secondary executors named in the will, the person who's the personal representative who's handling the affairs. It may be you, particularly if you're watching this, if you're trying to get some more information. They'll also make sure that all beneficiaries that are listed in the will are also listed in the application for probate. And if the person is representing themselves pro se, then they're going to make sure that this is the actual last will, because this is the one that we'll be using, basing the probate on. Now, when they review the application, they'll be checking for correct names and dates all the way throughout. That's just something to make sure that there's consistency, and you don't want a small typo to cause even more delays in a process that's quite often very lengthy. They'll make sure the executor is listed as said. The executor must be a NC resident or at least have someone who is an agent representing them while they're in, that is a resident. So you can be out of state, but you have to go through a couple of the protocols, and it may change the nature of the bond. You may actually have to be have a bond so that the estate is protected, and they know that you're actually they have some protection just in case something happens and you're not able to fulfill your duties. Make sure the beneficiaries are listed, and the application will be signed and notarized, and you'll be administered the oath at that time. And then after that, there'll be the certificates of probates will be issued out saying that the will has been probated. They'll make copies of the letters. The qualification date is the date of the opening of the estate. They'll have the file number on there that was given that day. And you'll either have a letter of testamentary, which is 9 times out of 10 will be on there, since this is we're talking about a large estate or estate with a will. But sometimes if the executor is not able to do it, or they pass away, or someone who's not in the will is appointed, then they're administrators, and so there's the noted administration CTA, and they'll all be given 5 copies. And if you want additional copies, there'll be $1 each for every copy after the first 5. Then they'll process and copy the files in the office to make sure that's there. And any beneficiaries that were named, they will receive their notification at that time. And so that's the process that you'll go through at the beginning to start off, to open the actual estate. The next steps are going to be, you're going to start to create the notices of creditors and start collecting and gathering all information for the inventory and for the accounting, so that you can make sure you're paying off the bills and preparing the inheritance. There's to be distributed. There are a lot of steps, and it can be challenging. I do encourage you to connect with an attorney that can support or help you. And even with that, there are going to be a lot of steps outside of the attorney's purview that you may need support and help with, particularly if there's like physical aspects such as house and personal property that needs to be dealt with. Regardless, we hope that you do find someone like the folks like Estate Pro Service, where we try to provide a holistic approach to the process. We know there's a lot of things besides just the legal aspects that families come to us or find or really need support and help, whether it's cleaning out a property or helping find a location for the surviving spouse, or dealing with the personal property inside, and helping create an estate sales plan, or being able to identify heirlooms and their values to help make stronger decisions, making connections to financial advisors so that folks can hopefully avoid the probate process in the future and really help their family protect some of the wealth that you generate over time. There's so many things that we can help you with, and we'd love for you to just check us out and to support you during these challenging times. As I've said so many times before on this podcast or the video, if you're looking at YouTube, is that we really approach this the Triple H, the heart, head, hands approach. We use our heart to really listen and hear your situation, particularly through a time that can be challenging. And we use our heads to gather together the information and make the connections and hopefully provide options that are caring and that are viable for you and your family. And we get them done, use our hands to make things happen. All right. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Feel free to check us out at estateproservice.com, free consultation. In fact, you don't pay me through the process. There's a link there for a calendar. You can sit down and have a still free conversation to hopefully help you, point you in the right direction. Check us out at estateproservice.com. This is the Life and Transitions Expert Podcast. Would love for you to hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff to help me keep spreading this good word. And until then, till next time, I'll see you next time. All right, rising tides.